Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to another Ultimate Alliance 3 video. There are certain items of this game that have some surprising functions and features, and I wanted to talk about three of those categories, or three of those items, that I don't know that everyone else is aware of. Now, one of these items very much has an in-game mechanic that you need to be aware of, and the other two that I wanted to touch on are just kind of things that I thought are interesting. So let's go ahead and talk about three things that you may not know about Ultimate Alliance 3. So one of the items that I found kind of surprising with this game has to do with these arcane artifacts. And I'm not going to have a chance to showcase it as much as I was hoping here, because I have fallen off. But the arcane artifacts that you use to get away from these various different tricks and traps and such, they actually have some resistances based off of whatever element they are, and they resist their likewise element and elemental attacks that come from it. And I'll kind of show you what I mean here with Miles as we make our way towards it. So take note of the hits that we're seeing here. That we've got hits like 3 and 4 and 7, 800. Like take note of the different damage readings, and that heavy attack did 17,000 damage to the arcane artifact right here that has the fire aspect to it. And, those are fairly normal numbers to see from Miles's kit of damage. But now, take a note of that same heavy attack here as I use it with Miles against this electric arcane artifact. That was 9,000 damage instead of the 17 that we saw, and that was 10. So because we have a likewise element, we have an elemental resistance here. And the same thing can kind of be said about these elemental attacks that we're throwing into our opponents, is they tend to resist some more of these elemental aspects as we hit into them. So let's try and dance away from our opponent here as he kind of rushes around, and we don't want to get knocked down to the lower portions of this track. But watch what happens if I use my high voltage alliance here against this opponent. He is not taking any damage from it. And the same thing, if I lay out these high voltage lines here around the arcane artifact, it kind of sits there and quivers as if it notices that it's getting hit, but it does not actively take any damage. Now let's go ahead and use this Venom Strike, and if I can land it on my target, you'll notice again, I'm in the area where it should be hitting the arcane artifact, and yet it does not. And so it's just kind of interesting to me that these moves, or these areas, have resistances based off of the elements. And it makes sense as to why they maybe would, but right there you saw that Miles had a method of damaging the ice arcane artifact where he did not exhibit that same damage towards the electricity arcane artifact. And that's something that not a whole lot of people notice or recognize when playing through this game. So if you want to make sure that you are getting the maximum amount of damage that you can, or make sure that you burn through a lot of these arcane artifacts quicker than you otherwise normally would, make sure that you're not attacking into them with likewise elements, because especially here in the dark dimension, those are very prevalent, and you have to be aware of what attacks in your party will and won't do damage to your targets. Now, the second item that I wanted to discuss, actually we can access from this main menu, and this is something that I don't know that a lot of people are aware of either. So if we come down here to the system settings and we look down at the gallery, you'll notice in my top right hand corner that it says that I am listed at 98% completion, and you may be able to get a little bit closer to that, but the fact of the matter remains is it is impossible to get that gauge to read 100%. And there are two reasons for that. The first is that we are missing some artwork, and I may even be missing a couple of extra pieces of artwork than what most people have. But you'll see here that I have 9 pieces of artwork that I'm missing, and there's not really a way for me to tell if I'm missing something. Like, it doesn't have anything listed here in terms of, oh, you've got to be looking for something with this name. Nope, I'm just missing artwork from this overall list. And I don't think that we're going to see any changes or updates to that because it's been well over a year since the developers gave us our last patch, and I don't foresee us getting any changes or updates to the game at this point in time. The way that it is the way that I suspect that it will remain. But there's something else that I still believe factors into this number, and to see that we have to come here to the hero select area, and we have to equip, for my purposes, I'm just going to equip any member of the Fantastic Four, but this actually spans across all of them. So if we back out of our menu here and then go into our team and come over to Mr. Fantastic and then hit the X button to change outfits, you'll notice that there is an outfit that is missing. And all members of the Fantastic Four are missing their 4th alternate outfit. And that's just a shame. I would have loved to have seen what outfits or what alternate designs we have for that 4th outfit or design. But unfortunately, this falls in the same category as the missing artwork. It should have come with a previous patch. It did not, and I doubt that we will ever see any updates to the game where this would be included. On the off chance that somebody at Koei Tecmo is watching this video, please bring this to the desk of your supervisor, because I would love it if you would actually hash out the couple of items that are missing from the game, and I know that I'm not the only one in that camp. So if you wanted to see those items be added to the game, be sure to leave a comment down below, because I believe that there are more of this than not that would love to see these missing items be added to the game. Now, the last item that I wanted to go over actually is within the system settings as well. But you need to understand that this is something that you are aware is the case, but you actually have a degree of control over it. Now, when you are playing through the game for the very first time, if at any point you back out of the story quest and you come here to this main menu, you'll notice that the background is different depending on what world you are in the middle of trying to play through as you are making your way through the challenge. But if there's a piece of artwork that's in those cover designs that you like more than just the standard default, did you know that you can actually change and update that to whichever one you prefer seeing? The way that you do that is you'll come down here to your settings, you'll go into your options, and then you'll need to hit L or R several times until you make it over to the other section. You can then change the main menu background to image selection, and then come down here and pick your favorite background. So we have our Guardians of the Galaxy background hanging out right here. This is the default template that is present when you first load up the game. You have the Raft Riot, you have Into the Shadows, which this is an awesome piece of artwork as well. You have Avengers Tower Defense, which again, just a phenomenal conglomerate of the Avengers teammates and the culminating fight with Ultimo. You have House of X, you have Dark Forces, Inhuman Interlude, which is interesting. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about Eidolon as an inclusion, as a subworld in this game. It just feels short to the point where it doesn't really serve a purpose. But that's beside the point. We have Wakandan Warriors, which is really cool. We have Gods and Monsters, which I think is my personal favorite, just because of the concept of Hela influencing Red Skull, and then Loki and Thor, who have finally joined forces to overcome an evil beyond both of their full and solo comprehension. And then finally we have the Black Order that comes in as well before we come down to the default menu of the Ultimate Alliance, which becomes the stagnant background after you have completed the entire game. And that's apart from the other backgrounds in the other sub-menus for the Marvel Knights, the Rise of the Phoenix, and the Rise of Doom DLC expansions. But because I've said something about it, let's go ahead and make this Gods and Demons background our new background here. Because again, I just love this artwork and it's very well crafted and put together. But if you had anything else that you think that I missed or something that you think is cool about this game, please feel free to leave it in the comments below. If you enjoyed today's video and or learned something that you didn't know before, make sure that you leave a like and don't forget to subscribe for that daily variety content. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day.